In 2017, I wrote a book called Anchors of Encouragement, which I self-published. I sold only a few copies of this book, it being my very first book, so I can't say I recorded any huge sales with it. But then again, only a tiny fraction of self-published books ever achieve much success anyway. However, every now and again, just like today, I love reading through my book and reliving some of the emotions I felt while writing it. And sometimes having a good laugh at my own words. And I've been having a good laugh today. And last week, however, I was thumbing through the pages of the book and I was looking through a chapter I called Awesome in a Shell. And in that chapter, I tried to introduce my readers to my introvert nature and lifestyle and the challenges I face, and I'm still facing because of it. And I just couldn't stop laughing at myself and everything I wrote. You know, sometimes you're so busy just pouring out your heart on paper that you get caught up in trying to express yourself that you don't really pay attention to the words you're using or how you're really doing it. And then when you go back later and you read through it, it's hilarious, you know, reading what you've written. And so today I will share this chapter with you and just give you a little bit of an introduction to the kind of person I am, all right? So hello guys, this is Insights with Chipo. So this is the book, Anchors of Encouragement. And I'm just going to read quickly from chapter 15, which is the chapter I titled Awesome in a Shell, talking about my introvert lifestyle. I'll share with you some of the things I wrote. So I said, in this chapter of my book, I would like to acquaint you with a special side of me. I feel that it would be unfair if I didn't allow you a little peek into this side of my personality that plays a major role in the way I manage my social life and everyday living. It is a side that I have finally come to accept, embrace, and nurture without feelings of guilt or pressure to fit in anymore. This chapter is going to be the longest in my book, as I have allocated it a whopping 13 pages. Yeah, I put 13 pages in this with more picture quotes. I use a lot of picture quotes in my book. So, you know, I've always loved quotes. Anything quotation, I just love. Oh my God. Anyway, so I used picture quotes in all the chapters. That notwithstanding, I feel it has not fully captured all the details of my experiences, but you'll get the gist nonetheless. I decided to commit this to paper as a way of celebrating the inner freedom I've gained since discovering the joy of finally being bold enough to be myself. I know somebody will finish reading this chapter and say to me, wow, I didn't know this about you at all. While yet another may read it and say to me, I think I understand you better now. Either way, welcome to my world. If you're wondering what this special side could be and why it is worth writing about, keep reading. I want to let you know that I use subheadings in every paragraph of this particular chapter. I mean, in my whole book I did that, but in this particular chapter, because I was trying to organize my thoughts, since I'm talking about my lifestyle and the nature of person that I am, I wanted to do it in a kind of like in a compartmentalized way, and I wanted to gather my thoughts and just break it down properly. So for me to do that, I decided to use oopsie, oh sorry, something fell down. I decided to use subheadings in every paragraph. So my paragraphs are quite long, so that's why it was easy for me to use subheadings to help organize my thoughts. All right, so now my first subheading was titled The Turtle of Liberty. All right, get ready to laugh with me at what I wrote. Oh my God, I'm reading my whole book again. Turtle of Liberty. I'm going to share with you some facts about my introvert nature and the way I overcame the constant psychological and societal demands to come out of my shell and live, as some would consistently tell me, as if the fact that I was leaving my home daily to interact and mingle with people at work or school, or to run errands and handle the business of life generally wasn't enough living as it was. Amusingly, anytime I hear anyone say that to me, a picture of a beautiful, liberated turtle hurriedly, me and my English, God, hurriedly swimming away pops up in my head. And I'm not sure that's a picture they would like for me to have in mind when they say that. But that's what I see. I'm also certain that they see my love for solitude as a self-imposed imprisonment and a punishment in a shelled lifestyle or existence, as opposed to what it actually means to me, which is self-preservation, as symbolized by the turtle's shell. The thought that this shelled lifestyle could be the preservation of an inherent beauty, uniqueness, and awesomeness, and not imprisonment, is not even worth a consideration for them, I suppose. This is the reason I have titled this chapter Awesome in a Shell, in a bid to put me into perspective for anyone who might read it. All right? I'm going to go on to the second subheading that I've titled Not Your Standard Handle. As much as the opportunity allows, I tell people upfront who meet me for the first time and who express an interest in knowing me further that I am not your standard handle. I really am not, to be honest. They don't understand me at first, of course, but eventually do or are forced to as time goes by. Before I learned to embrace and celebrate myself as I am, I used to ignorantly say that I don't come with an instruction manual until I realized that was not entirely true. It all depended on who was dealing with me and if they were willing to make the necessary compromises they expected from me too. Now I tell people, or at least I give them a hint, that there exists an instruction manual which only the circle of my nearest and dearest can understand and work with. This is actually very true, you know. Well, anyway, let's go on. Everyone else will need to be very well versed in patience and long suffering too. I wrote this, but it's so true. Oh my goodness. Actually, it goes both ways, as I too need a great deal of both virtues to help manage my interpersonal relationships. If you could see the book, you'd see the picture quotes I have. I've got a beautiful picture quote underneath what I've just finished reading that says, I like people I can have comfortable silences with. I love that quote because it's so true. I just love having people around me who are not loud, who are not too boisterous. It kind of drains me, you know. And so I like to have, I can sit with someone and we don't talk to each other for a long time, but we're enjoying each other's company in a silent way, if you know what I mean. You know, you don't have to talk all the time. We can just listen to each other's silent words. We can just be in each other's space, but not occupy it with so much talking, if you know what I mean. Only an introvert will really get what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm going to read one more paragraph and then I'll stop because I really am trying not to make my videos too long. And this one I have titled Differently Social. I like this one. I started by saying, I thank God daily for the freedom that comes from discovering the liberating truth about my different self and the joy I feel knowing I am now able to better manage the complex nature I come with. When you do not understand why you do what you do, it's easy to conclude that there's something wrong with you just because you're unable to think, act, or ultimately socialize like others do. I really thought for a long time that there was something wrong with me because I just didn't feel comfortable in crowds. I didn't like parties. I didn't like being around people for too long. I just would feel drained after a short while. I didn't know. I thought I was just an antisocial person until I really found out that I was just a normal introvert, you know. Anyway, let's go on. You get labeled all sorts. Now, this is true. You get labeled boring, antisocial, depressed. Although I am depressed sometimes, though, so that label kind of fits. Sad, insecure, people hater, unreliable, hermit. I got called that once. Unstable. I got called that one time. Alien, unloving. I got called the latter, the unloving part, because I once did not check, I did not call to check on a friend who was ill, and all through her stay in the hospital, and even after she came out, I didn't call to speak to her. And I was thinking about her every day, and I really missed her. But I don't know, for some weird reason, I think I only spoke with her once all through her 2-week stay in hospital. It doesn't make me a bad person. Please don't judge me. I just don't like phone calls. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I just don't like phone calls either. I try to minimize my phone calls, and I try to avoid making too many phone calls. So that's what happened with this friend of mine, and she called me unloving. We've made up since then anyway, so, you know, she's not holding anything against me anymore. Anyway, so I didn't call to check up after she got discharged from hospital. Another thing I also get called is fickle. The list is endless. Now, some of these labels would be funny to me if they were true. But I am, of course, none of these things we get called. Well, I'm not all right? I wouldn't say I lied in the book, but as I was writing this, I didn't believe I was any of those things. But in retrospect, I think there are a few things I can identify with a little bit, not much. I mean, not the really weird things like being unstable. I'm not unstable. I'm anything but unstable. All right? Okay, let's go on. Just going to finish this one then quickly. People label easily what they do not understand or what cannot be manipulated to fit into their expectation of it. That's a good one there, really. Let me read that again. Did I actually write this? Wow. People label easily what they do not understand or what cannot be manipulated to fit into their expectation of it. That's a good one. But introverts were not made to fit into the expectations of society. Nope, we were not. But rather, I like this one and I wrote it, to stand out as a part of it. Wow, that's so true actually. We're not made to fit in, but we were created to stand out as a part of it. It's a paradox there, isn't it? Anyway, we socialize differently because we are socially different. I saw this neologism on an introvert's blog and thought it was a perfectly coined up phrase to describe us. All right, guys, like I said, I will stop here for now. I don't want my videos to be long. This is already too long, to be honest. So I'll stop here. I really enjoyed reading through again. So I'll probably do a part 2 where I continue with this chapter until I finish it. It's 13 pages, like I said already at the beginning. So there's a lot to read. So probably what I'll do is, if I get enough likes, I will do a part 2 and a part 3 and maybe a part 4. Let's see how far we go. But I'll target to read 2, 3, or 4 paragraphs in each video, if that's possible. We'll see how it goes. All right, so thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedules to sit down and listen to this girl talking again. And I'll tell you more about myself in the next video. Thank you. God bless you. Keep smiling. Bye.